What is up, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started, a couple of quick announcements. If you haven't seen it, be sure to check out some of my shorts that I've done. One of the shorts that I released earlier this week was on the thoughts of the new World Heavyweight Championship, which we will talk about more in this video. Also, before I get started on tonight's review of Friday Night SmackDown, I would like to send my deepest condolences to the family of Jerry Springer. I didn't watch a lot of his stuff back growing up, so I hope I don't offend anyone by saying that. But knowing that he did stuff like Too Hot for TV, and in his last years being a judge, thoughts and prayers to anyone who is grieving a famous loved one and things of that nature. So, thoughts and prayers for Jerry Springer, who paved the way for Steve Wilkos to throw chairs. But with that being said, make sure this is clear. Okay, making sure that's clear. Let's get started with tonight's broadcast of review of Friday Night SmackDown as we opened up the show with Triple H with the first draft. It turns out Roman and Solo will be staying on SmackDown. Of course, Cody Rhodes will stay on Raw, and Bianca Belair is coming to SmackDown, but Becky Lynch is staying on Raw. However, I must say, having Bianca Belair on SmackDown is going to make SmackDown's women's division more interesting, in my personal opinion. Because before Bianca, my favorites were just Selena Vega, Liv Morgan, and Raquel. Having Rousey and Shayna are dangerous, but they're not being used to a big quality idea, which is what Rousey was talking about on social media not too long ago. And Naomi is on Impact Wrestling. Also, we opened up the show tonight with Butch versus LA Knight, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Back to the women's part. I think Bianca being on SmackDown is going to make the women's division on SmackDown very interesting. More interesting because Raw, to be honest, their women's division is much more interesting than this one, even though I'm a huge fan of Liv, Raquel, and Vega. Butch versus LA Knight was not a bad match tonight. Obviously, with Butch, you got to keep your fingers guarded. But nonetheless, LA Knight will go on to win the match. And despite the fact that he is a heel, he has gotten over with the crowd somewhat because some fans were chanting his name and he won the match. So LA Knight has probably ran his course as far as being a heel is concerned, and now he will go face soon. In other SmackDown drafting news, we had the return of RVD and Michael Hayes to announce that the Street Profits are on SmackDown, and Raw will have Imperium, and SmackDown will have Edge again for the first time in 2 years, and Raw keeps Matt Riddle. Speaking of the Street Profits, they would win a triple threat tag team match tonight, which would involve the LWO as well as Braun Strowman and Ricochet. This week, Braun Strowman gets it right when he threw Ricochet into their opponents on the outside. Thank you for getting it right this time, Braun Strowman, because last week we all know about the accident, the botch, as we like to call it. But nonetheless, despite everyone flying, the Street Profits, who ironically were in blue, were able to win the match as Montez Ford went for the frog splash. Now, having the Street Profits on SmackDown is going to be awesome because them being on Raw was great. Now they're back on SmackDown. This is going to be great. JBL and Teddy Long announced the draft again. First of all, I was almost certain that Theodore Long was going to say, our next pick for Friday Night SmackDown is The Undertaker. I just knew he was going to do that. But No Undertaker. I think even the Undertaker's got to be upset about this. Like, why didn't you say my name? But in any event, Undertaker was not mentioned. This is the first time we saw Teddy Long without him mentioning the Undertaker. But in any event, Bobby Lashley is going to be on SmackDown. I'm very excited about that. Raw's going to take Drew McIntyre's, which is a bit of a disappointment, but at the same time, a relief that Drew did not leave WWE for AEW. WWE needs to keep as many interesting stars as possible, and Drew is one of them. And so the OC is going to be on SmackDown, so that is going to be awesome, especially AJ Styles, who made his return tonight with the OC from an injury earlier this year, which is why he missed WrestleMania, unfortunately. But he came back with a message throwing the flying forearm onto Ivar as the OC attacked the Raiders. Along with Mia Yim, wife of Keith Lee from AEW. And Keith Lee has just let all his hair grow gray. And Raw keeps the first failed attempt of MJF The Miz. That's what it really is. The first attempt of MJF failed. So the first failed attempt at MJF is on Raw, The Miz. Now we go to Zelina Vega versus Sonya Deville, and I know this is supposed to be a warm-up match for Zelina Vega to face off against Rhea, but this particular match didn't give her much momentum, in my opinion, because she won the match by roll-up, but the match was basically owned by Sonya Deville. And while I do like Zelina and I think she's pretty cool, the thing was in this match, Sonya was the more dominant force, even though Sonya has a most career losing streak, most loss in the women's division, if I may say. But in any event, Zelina won by the most popular move in WWE, the roll up. Rhea Ripley attacks, but Zelina Vega escapes through the DDT and gets words of encouragement from the legendary Rey Mysterio and other LWO member Santos Escobar. We also saw HBK and aka Shad Frost with the Road Dogg members of D Generation X to announce that SmackDown picked Michael Cole's sexual stalker Bailey because, ladies and gentlemen, I've never had the chance to say this because I don't review Raw. I only review SmackDown and pay-per-views, premium live events as we call them now. But yes, Michael Cole's sexual stalker Bailey is on SmackDown. Bailey likes Cole. That is why Bailey is so mean to Cole. If again, for anyone who saw Hey Arnold as a kid, you know that Helga gave Arnold the blues. But in the end, Arnold, Helga loves Arnold. Matter of fact, if I could do what that channel Infinite Pro Wrestling does, I would make a post and I would have Helga as Bailey and Arnold as Michael Cole because I don't care what nobody say. Bailey likes Michael, and that's why Bailey is so mean to Michael. Bailey is obsessed with Michael. I'm gonna have a sign if I ever attend a live WWE event, a SmackDown event, or a Raw event that is televised. I'm gonna have a couple of signs out. One sign is gonna say Dominic Mysterio Simp 19, and another sign is going to say Bailey likes Michael Cole. But another event, Damage Control, is on SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura, who was attacked by Karrion Kross, and they will fight next week. Shinsuke is on Raw, and Isla Dawn and Alba Fire are on SmackDown, while Indy Hartwell will be on Raw, which is perfect because Dexter is on Raw. And when I saw Shawn Michaels do the draft pick, I knew someone from NXT was coming to Raw. The only thing left is for Pretty Deadly to get drafted because if you saw what happened on Tuesday, you know that Pretty Deadly was sent up the river. So, up one of the Orlando, Florida. It's a whole lot of water in Florida and Orlando. So, they were sent up the river. But in our main event tonight, we all knew Sean was going to draft someone from NXT. But in our main event tonight, the Usos and KO Zania, as I call them, had a great tag team match, WrestleMania rematch. I love seeing Sami Zayn do the flying senton, and after KO hit the power bomb and the stunner, and one of the Usos kicked out, Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman was called out to ringside. Not Paul, but Solo was given a call to go to ringside by Roman Reigns. And before Solo could get anywhere, Matt Riddle comes and attacks him because they have their own personal rivalry, which set up for the Usos to double super kick Kevin's head off, and Kevin kept going long enough, and he endured all those headshots long enough for Sami Zayn to get in. Do After Kevin Owens delivered the stunner, Sami came in for the Halufi kick. 1, 2, 3. KO Zania are still champions as I predicted. But here's another prediction. Well, this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. Usos, y'all ashtrays are in trouble. When daddy gets home, y'all gonna get the belt, the slipper, the ruler, whatever he believes in unsparing the rod with. He's gonna use it. You guys are in big, big trouble. And something concerns me that Solo is gonna spike the Usos. I just think something about to happen. Or maybe not. I've been wrong before. But be sure to check out some of my shorts in which I talk about my thoughts on the World Heavyweight Championship, the new one. And also, there's another short. I would like to thank those of you who have already seen it, where I challenge myself to name as many champions as I can in 50 seconds. And unfortunately, I forgot Kane and CM Punk. But in any event, check out my shorts and you will see how many champions I was able to name within less than 50 seconds. But for now, that's all the time I have for you today. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and share and let everyone know so we can grow this channel more. And until next time, have a great weekend, everyone. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. See you next time.